Hour two, Big Sil's National Football Show. Please hit the like button here. So the Cowboys have made it clear that they're open to talks with CeeDee Lamb on extensions, Diggs, and Dak, but not Zach Martin. They're better player. If I'm a Philadelphia Eagle fan, I am just watching this, loving this. That would be like, okay, here. Well, who do you think would be more of a priority in Philadelphia if there was a contract negotiation going on and there's a chance to have an extension? Who do you think would be the priority in Philly? Lane Johnson or Darius Slay? Who would be the priority in Philly? Who would be the priority? Again, it's a dumb question. But organizations do dumb things. There's not a chance in hell the Eagles would sit around and make Darius Slay the top priority if Lane's deal, or how about this? Lane was underpaid. But see, the Eagles don't get to underpaid when guys overperform. Think of it. They pay the wrong people in Dallas. Always. They play the wrong people all the time. Zeke. Hey, Amari Cooper? How many people put the fact that Amari Cooper wasn't in that huddle for Dak's 15 picks? I do. I do. One of the reasons Brandon Cooks' ass was brought in. They pay the wrong guys. Diggs, let me tell you about the kid, Diggs in Dallas. I think he's overrated. I think he gets beat and gambles too much. Personally, I'll take Bradbury over him. I'll take James Bradbury over Diggs in Dallas. He's more reliable. He's not going to get beat the way that Diggs gets beat. Okay? Ramsey's better than Diggs. The Cowboys want to pay him, though. Why? Why? And you let Zach Martin sit there. Here's the problem with Martin, though. I think he's 32. What are you going to pay him? You know what's crazy? Lane Johnson just got a raise and more upfront money, and I think he's 32. Eagles don't look at it like that. If you're good, you're good. No matter what your age is, they're going to pay you. Man, I'll tell you what. The Philadelphia Eagles, man, they put their money where their mouth is. They don't spend money on position. They have a clear process. They're just not going to spend money on certain positions, but they're going to pay money for people who perform. That is a fact. You know, if you're a free agent, you want to play in Philly. Because all you have to do, every player wants to be told this, okay? You mean to tell me if I come here and I play and I put up big numbers, I'm going to get paid? Yeah. And get this, it's not Barkley. Did you see that John Mara and Saquon Barkley had a private conversation, and Barkley opened his heart to John Mara and told him what it meant to be a Giant. Told him, get this. This is really, dude, Wellington Mara's not walking out on the Giants field any longer. Saquon Barkley, this is the report, and get this. A lot of people who know people who were witness to this opened his heart privately to John Mara and told him what it meant to be a New York Giant. The next week, they franchise tagged him. That's betrayal. They betrayed him. They took his empathy and looked at it as weakness, and they preyed on it. Don't ever tell your organization how you feel, okay? Because they'll use it against you. There's the greatest example of it. And I'm not saying Barkley deserves $15, $16 million. But when you tell somebody how you feel and you tell an owner or coach how you feel, they don't give a shit how you feel. They never have, and they never will. They don't care. They'll use it against you. They franchise tagged him the next week. And I say this to you. This is why maybe there's a method to Howie's madness. If Howie drafts you, you're going to get paid. And he's going to give you every chance to make it on that team. You know why? He put his ass on the line for you by drafting you. It looks to me, look, I'll say this to you. It looks to me that the Eagles want to give guys second and third contracts. It looks to me 90% of the league doesn't want to do that because that's big money. They'd rather get a guy cheaper. Most businesses would rather have a guy doing, doesn't it make sense? Most businesses would rather have a guy do the same job at a cheaper rate. I'm not speaking French here. That's in any business, including the NFL. If I can get it, look at Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is cheaper than Ezekiel Elliott, even on a franchise tag. It's $5 million less. Cowboys look at that as a win. And they didn't pay. You know, he was making $837,000 last year a year. Zeke was making $500,000 a game. That's a win for the Cowboys. That's a win. That's how the Cowboys, hey, but in Philly, they pay you. They absolutely pay you. I'm going to get to the Cardinals here in a second. Two things before I get going here. How many people love Bryce Harper in Philly? How many people like Bryce Harper as the face of your Philly franchise? He's overpaid. You overpay a guy here. Does he play him? You're going to play him at first base? You're going to play Bryce Harper at first base. Give me Manny Machado any day. 10 times the ball player Bryce Harper will ever be. Machado's worth the money. Harper's not. You're going to play a guy. He's an American League DH. He does not belong in the National League. He doesn't have a glove. You're going to play him at first base, outfield, wherever. The guy doesn't play a position. He's like David Ortiz. This guy's not a $34 million a year guy. Machado's a Gold Glove with the same numbers as Harper. And he's a Gold Glove guy. One of the greatest gloves in the game. Harper doesn't even own a glove. I think they gave him a first baseman now, right? Bryce Harper, $34 million for what? A 240 hitter? He's a 240 lifetime hitter. MVP, Sills. Great. I've seen organizations win without him. Crazy. All right. Again, before I get to Arizona, this is week 17 for the Eagles. So 2 days ago, hey, how many people like Justin Fields? How many people like Justin Fields? How many think Justin Fields is going to be the answer in Chicago? That he's going to be the answer that the Bears have been looking for. Do you like him? Justin Fields? Okay. So 3 days ago, he's telling me he's one of the top 5 running backs or running quarterbacks in NFL history. Now, yesterday, he's telling us he's going to break the single season passing mark. The Bears have never had a 4,000 single season quarterback throw for that number. It's funny, nor have the Eagles except for Carson Wentz. The Eagles' greatest season at quarterback was by Wentz twice. Threw for 33 touchdowns, owns that record too. So wait a minute, let me get this right. The guy you hate the most owns all your records. Solid. 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 So now he's saying he's going to be the all-time single season guy and he's going to throw for $4,000. This guy sure talks a lot. Better get out there and do it, kid. I tell that guy to shut his mouth, man. Bro, no one wants to hear that. That's insecurity talking. If I was a defensive guy, I'd be like this. This guy doesn't believe in himself. Because people who believe in themselves don't talk like that. They talk like Hurts. They don't. They just show up and do it. Look at the difference between a guy who's confident in Jalen Hurts and a guy who's not. Right there is a great example. I'm in the top 5 in the greatest running quarterbacks of all time. He's played 1 year. And again, here's a guy talking about 1 season of rushing. What did it get you? You guys sucked. Now, the talent around him sucks. But since when does running quarterbacks win Super Bowls? They don't. That may change. But guys who have 1,000 yards is not going to win a Super Bowl. It's going to get you killed. But I'm going to throw for 4,000 yards too. I mean, what's next? He's going to scale Everest? This guy sure talks a lot of shit. Hey, Fly, really, Justin Field, Steve Young led the NFL in passing percentage. Okay? Steve Young threw for a ton of yards. Okay? He was Aaron Rodgers before Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. Steve Young ran because he had to, not because he wanted to. Whatever, dude. Steve Young was a brilliant quarterback. Brilliant. I wouldn't be putting running quarterback. Crazy. Justin Fields, man. I sure hope you step into the light, man, and play. I sure do. All right. You know, maybe I should do the Hurts comment first. Where is that? Here it is. Maybe I should do the Hurts one first before I get to the Cardinals. Why do you think Jalen Hurts is so disrespected? By the way, I'm gonna make my statement first instead of asking you. Here's why I think Jalen Hurts is the most disrespected quarterback in the league, and why there's a conflict with how the league and other pundits and people around the NFL see him. I think they respect the man. They respect the person. They respect the hard work. They just don't really think a lot of it's, well, they don't think he's in the same category with the other guys that are into the NFL. And they don't believe he's going to win a Super Bowl with that style of play. Is that disrespect? And is that why? Because I do think he is. And I think the conflict here with this is because Hurts is so respected as a human that you don't want to talk too much shit on the kid, because at the end of the day, everyone likes to collide that and combine that and say, well, if you're talking shit on Jalen, you're talking shit on a really good guy. Nobody cares in the league about that shit. I think what fans do is they look at Jalen as being the antithesis of what Wentz was. They tie that in to seeing a really great guy, and they're pulling for him. But at the end of the day, you look at the rest of the guys around the NFL, He's not those guys. But yet, you look at but again, he's on a loaded team. He's not carrying a football team to the Super Bowl with one wide receiver and a shoddy old line. He's not. Okay? Some of these other guys will. I mean, there's less talent in Buffalo. There's less talent in Kansas City. There's less talent in Jacksonville. There's less talent in Baltimore than in Philly. I think there's pretty good talent in Los Angeles with the Chargers. I think there's really good talent in Cincinnati with Burrow. I think there's pretty good talent in Denver for Wilson. Okay? But some of the guys that they look at in the NFL, they don't have the talent he has. They don't have the best O-line. They don't have 2,000-yard wide receivers. They don't have one of the top 5 tight ends. And all of that on one team. They don't have that. Nobody has that. The only guy that has that is Jalen. And I think that hurts him on how people perceive him. They look at him having all of it. Nobody in the NFL has that. You don't have the best O-line. You don't have a great duo wideout. You don't have a top 5 tight end. Nobody has that. And so when they look at him, he needs all those. They say this, and whether it's true or not, I'm telling you how they perceive him. And that's maybe why the disrespect on Hurts. You see, you guys watch this guy come through the ranks and watch him build himself up. Doug Peterson the other day says he's the right guy for the job. Yeah. Okay, you're watching this. So you got more of an affection towards it. But most people around the league will go, well, they've really done a nice job, and Howie's done a great job building a team around him, and they give him every single opportunity. Dude, like I said before, if Patrick Mahomes is in Philadelphia, they'll go undefeated for the next 3 years. They ain't losing a game. They'll never lose a game. If Josh Allen has that offensive line and that running game, Josh Allen would throw for 7,000 yards. Joe Burrow played in Philly. He'd never lose. And he beats those guys. He beats every one of those guys. He beats the Allens. He beats the Mahomes. Jalen hasn't beaten any of them guys yet. Now, again, this year, 2023, I think he can change that narrative. It's not what ifs. He hasn't beaten them guys. You've played them twice in a row, Mahomes, and you've lost. And you know the only thing you lay on? Well, he's thrown for more yards in the first game, and he threw for more yards in the second game, and yet you got 2 L's, and he came to your place and beat you. He put a Brady mentality on the Eagles in the last 2 games. Came from behind and won, and they ran the ball down your throat at your own barn. That's the difference between a guy like that. They don't have to have all the great tools around them. They're going to beat you with knowledge of the game. Mahomes can carry a team. Now, look, it's unfair to say this, but hey, if you guys are talking about him being the second best player at that position in the league, that's quite a cliff fall from him. If Jalen Hurts is really the second best quarterback, you'll never beat that guy. You'll never beat. If you didn't beat him with that team you had last year, what makes you think you're going to beat him this year? What do you think you've done by having a less experienced defense against a guy who's the experienced quarterback that he is that makes you think you're going to beat that guy this year? What makes you think you're going to beat Dak with a lesser defense? What makes you think that? Why? Where does that come from? Where have you made this up in your mind that you think lesser experience will play into this year and you'll beat Dak, who's 8-3 versus you, and you hadn't beaten him since 17, and Mahomes, who's beaten you 2 times in a row once at your place and once in the Super Bowl. What have you done to beat those guys? Jalen's a year older. This is a team sport too. What have the Eagles done to close the gap with those elite guys? Have a lesser experience. You have a lesser experienced defense this year going against more elite quarterbacks and better coaches. How does that help you? Explain this to me, fanatical Eagle fan. Explain that to me. Explain it. Did you get better? Where'd you get better on defense? Where did you get better? You got less experienced in a league where you need it. You didn't get better at edge. You got older at edge. You got better at edge. You got older. More speed? I'll take experience over speed. More speed? You think that So Nolan Smith is going to confuse Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers and them guys this year. Interesting. Eagle fan, look at this. This is why Sills can't keep a job. Why? Because I tell the truth, right? Probably so. Because you can't take it. You tell me then, Eagle fan, bird guy. Where'd you get better? Where did you get better on defense? On July 20th, where do you think you got better? I'll take any suggestions. Where did you get better on defense? You lost the most important guy on your defense and TJ Edwards. D-line, you got better? You know this? So you think you're going to have 70 sacks next year or this year? You got better at edge, you got older at edge. Quan says, I suggest a cold beer and a hot chick. You know what I suggest? A reality check. Or no, you could just leave that for the beer and the hot chick. You could just sign the reality check for me. Put it on a table there and put it in a jar, homie. Just put it right there for you. You could sign a reality check anytime you feel like it. Hot chick and a good beer. And Quan will sign the reality check. You know how he signs it? I don't know. I don't know. All right. Woo! Hate to be the guy. Seal said Kaiser White was trash. I never in a billion years says Kaiser White was trash. Actually, we had Tom Telesco on. This is why this guy right here is one of those guys that CNN loves watching and having him on their network because he's fake news. When Tom Telesco was on our program, the general manager of the Chargers, go back and watch it. I said, why did you let Kaiser White go? The guy had 100 tackles for you. He goes, we never wanted to let him go. We really love Kaiser White. Man, it really killed us to let him go. That's false and fake news. Kaiser White was a good football player. There's a reason he got $7.7 million. And we put Tom Telesco on the next week when the Eagles got him. So that's not That's not true. Go back. The general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers came on the next week. Here again, Eagle fan, Bird guy says, I talk shit on AJ. Yeah, because he underperformed in Tennessee. And here's, again, another great example. Tone, here's another great example of a guy pretending to know when he didn't know. AJ had never had any more than 64 catches. Pedestrian numbers in Tennessee. We now learned that Tennessee didn't know how to use them. And that's why that general manager lost his job. When he came to a place that they utilized him, his numbers sucked in Tennessee. They weren't special. They were not special. 63 catches, 1,000 yards. That's 59 yards a game. That's not special. That's not special. But they saw something, and they knew that they weren't utilizing him well. He came here, and he exceeded expectations on things he hadn't done in 4 years or 3 years in Tennessee. The player benefited by being in a new zip code. Yeah. He wasn't a good player in Tennessee. Look at the numbers. They weren't special. They were not. This last year is the first year he had special numbers. Exceeded not my expectations, his own. You're missing it. Not my expectations, his own. He never had more than 64 catches. 1,100 yards. That's pedestrian in today's NFL. Those are Adam Thielen numbers. Those are Hunter Renfrow numbers. You can't say that on Devontae because he's WR2. Once again, my opinion doesn't change. The player's performance changes who he is. Just like you guys did on your boy Wentz. Isn't it funny? You sit here and tell this shit to me when every one of you in here flopped on Wentz. I don't call it flopping. I call it the guy not living up and playing great all the time. To me, that's not flopping. He sucked at the end. He fell apart. Happens. Some guys have long careers. Some guys have short careers. Some guys have 1 year. Some guys have 1 year. We see it all the time. That's not an opinion on AJ. Those were facts. He didn't do anything in Tennessee. He did nothing. It's not an opinion. Once again, it's funny. People think I don't have an opinion. I guess the problem, Tone, that people have is that I tell you who you are. You don't like to hear it. Because most people don't like who they are. I happen to love who I am. Okay? Most people don't like who they are. And when you point it out, this is who this guy, like when I say Jalen Hurts, the guy's had 1 year. Now, the difference between Jalen Hurts and Geno Smith, Geno's been in the league how many years? Decade? Do I think that guy's going to do that again? No. Do I think Jalen will do it again? I don't know, because you know what? I got to give him a shot at it. So I got to wait and see how he plays. And again, we've had 3 different emotions on Hurts in 3 different years. I hate to pick. He's kind of good. What a great year. Those are all in the – there's never been a consistent opinion on him. Do you understand that? You have never had a consistent opinion on Jalen Hurts since he's been an Eagle. Do you understand that that's my problem with some of you? You've never had – because you didn't have a consistent opinion on Wentz. Consistent opinions are what makes players – when you look up at their career and go, holy shit, man, this guy's done this a long time. What a great football player. That's when you look up and go, wow, he's done that for 8 years. Like when I looked up Corey Dillon's numbers, I was floored that he's almost 12,000 rushing yards. I couldn't believe he was that good. He was a damn good back, man. I was floored. Okay? I don't change my views, dog. Players change their quantity is such that doesn't make sense. How in the world does my view change on Jalen Hurts if he turns and has a better year from year 2 to year 3? How is my opinion changing? The player played better. I don't forecast this. The only people I forecast are draft choices because that's all you have. Whatever, guy. I'm not arguing with that. Go back to talking to Angelo and them dudes and guys who have that 1965 sports take mentality. It's dumb. It's just dumb. You know, like Skip Bayless has an opinion. He's tied his entire 25-year career around hating on LeBron. I can't do that. I just can't. Look, I can't lie like that. That guy's Twitter page, if you go to his Twitter page right now and you go to the Twitter page, you look at his Twitter page and all you see now is this guy just talking shit on LeBron. And you're like, dog, he's got 4 MVPs. I mean, he's got championships with 3 different franchises. He's a finals MVP at 3 different places. How are you still talking shit on him? Man. And by the way, if you want to talk shit on his politics, I get it. But if you want to talk shit on his basketball game, where in the world would you talk shit on? Well, he accrued all them points because he played so long. Okay, well, longevity matters. Longevity matters. Or Howard Eskin calling him a fraud. How do you call LeBron James a fraud when he's the all-time point scorer, won 4 NBA titles, and he could be the only guy that you could start at all 5 positions? You wouldn't start Jordan at all 5 positions. Even I relent on that and go, I don't know, if you're going to start your basketball team, you're not starting it with Jordan. You're starting it with LeBron. Because you could play him anywhere. Again, I'm no longer answering those dumbass questions like that. Okay? I am not. And you can bark all you want. Okay? All right. So I want to get into the Arizona Cardinals now. This is your Week 17 opponent. You know, when you look at the Cardinals, there's no question this is going to be a bumpy ride for them. Okay? This is going to be a bumpy ride for them. This is your Week 17 opponent. And they used this offseason. They got a brand new coach in Jonathan Gannon. By the way, would we not agree? Jonathan Gannon, probably the most disappointed hiring of any coach. I mean, it wasn't really that celebrated, was it? I must have missed it in Phoenix. It wasn't really celebrated that he got this job with the Cardinals. They used this offseason with free agents and with the draft. They lose players like TJ Watt, Zach Allen, D-Hop, AJ Green. Budda Baker could potentially be also a guy that could be leaving. They did draft Paris Johnson. They brought in Kaiser White. There's just not a lot of, and I would say this to you, there's not a ton of veteran talent on this team. You gave Murray 46.1. Would we not agree? Would we not agree that if they don't show improvement this year, they're going to move off of Kyler Murray? Would you agree that they move off of Kyler Murray? Okay? I think they do. If he doesn't show the propensity that he can carry and work, how about this? And work with Gannon. Whatever you think of your coach, he's the guy that's in your boat. And Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray have to work together. The same way that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have to work together. This can't be an adversarial relationship. There's not a chance in hell that you're going to go into a football season when you have an adversarial relationship with your head coach. Okay? I think they're working for the 2024 offseason. Because next year, the Cardinals are going to have 2 first-round picks, 3 third-round picks, and there's a shot that they may have the top 2 picks, 1 and 2, in the 2024 draft. So they're going to be able to do some damage next year, potentially, when it comes to getting a quarterback or another position that they covet. I'll tell you what, I mean, right now, if I were the Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon, I'd want to go into that draft and I'd want to get Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State and put him in the building there. I lose D-Hop. Let me get Harrison and get the kid from Ohio State, put him in there with Kyler Murray, and let's see if that thing can work. I would be rolling to getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and getting him in the building to see if those 2 guys can end up working. I love this kid. I think he's one of the best wide receivers that I've seen come out into college and then get to be an opportunity. I would love to see this. Think about that. The Cardinals could have the top 2 picks, 1 and 2, in the 2024 draft. So personally, this year, it's going to be a bumpy ride. I think the Eagles blow them out in week 17. But I would say this, hey, show some improvement. Show that you guys can work together because they're rolling towards the 2024 season. They are rolling towards the 2024 season. Fly says that I would take Trotter. Again, you got to look at the premium positions, though. The premium positions are wide receiver. If you're spending $46 million on a quarterback, and I could get a rookie on a rookie contract that is a gifted wideout like Marvin Harrison, why wouldn't you do that? It's economically feasible for you to be able to have both those guys on your team, and you're not paying $20 million like the Eagles are paying A.J. Brown. Okay? $20 million. $20 million. Okay? That's a good JM. Trotter and how about the tight end from Georgia? The tight end from Georgia. Hey, the guy's name escapes me. Well, I'll talk to Siracusa in hour number 3 on that. That tight end from Georgia is going to go high. What's his name? Bowers? That kid's going to go high. Bowers or Harrison and Trotter. That kid Bowers can play. He is going to go awful high, too. I'd love to have that guy on my football team, man. Okay? So, hey, I like that. Bowers, Harrison, Trotter. The Cardinals could do some damage here next year in the draft. And they're going to have cap room. The question will be, is Murray the answer? This is going to be a year whether or not you're going to be able to. I would put this, the 2023 Arizona Cardinals season is going to be, is Kyler Murray the guy? Is Kyler Murray the guy? Because I think by week 17, the Eagles are going to smoke this team. And they're probably going to want to put it on Jonathan Gannon for all that bullshit he pulled during the Super Bowl when he was out house hunting instead of preparing for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So there's going to be a little get back in that game. Eagles got a lot of those little subplot games, little sidebar comments in games like that. The Tua game will be interesting. Okay, Tua game will be interesting. But I would say this too. If I were the Eagles and I were Eagle fans, I'd want a piece of Jonathan Gannon's ass in that game. I totally would. All right. Please hit the like button. Hit that like button for us. Keep it